Stewart, my first question to you after this wonderful introduction is what is your take on the current situation of the Earth and which alien races are having a part in this game? Please.
Now, in 2013, things have changed quite a bit then from the past. Back in the 70s and 80s, there were literally hundreds of different groups that were visiting the Earth, and that has been shut down or filtered out, if you will, by the New World Order and the Illuminati, who only allow a handful of races to interact on the Earth. And even in recent years, in the last 2-3 years, there have been new races that have been allowed to interact with the Earth. The so-called little gray aliens, little with the big eyes that people claim to abduct them, they are not so much around anymore. Most of them have either left or have died off, but they're still around, some of them, but not many. You have a lot of the reptilian races around still, and there are also a new kind of race which recently has been admitted by certain members in the upper levels of U.S. government, where they are a very tall, white-skinned race, not that different from the Sirius A beings, but they are different, and they apparently come from the Polaris star system. And supposedly they live for hundreds of years, and they're very, very tall. So that's a new group that's only been in the last few years around like that. There is also interaction with the beings from the Aldebaran star system, but they are more in line with the Fourth Reich and with the actually the Japanese as well. So there's different alignments, and just as here on the Earth, if you go to the United Nations and there's 200-something countries in the United Nations, and they all have their little groups and their little organizations, and one is against the other, and they're not all doing things together. It's even more so when you go outside of the Earth. I always say that we live in a dangerous neighborhood on this planet because of where it's located, because there is so much interest in this particular portion of the galaxy. And I think that in the next year or two, maybe sooner, I think that we will have the staged alien invasion. But I was also told by someone in a government of another country that he feels in the next year to year and a half, there will be real invasion.
From the beings from Kuiper's Berg?
Yes, yes. And there's so many different ones there. I can't say it's only this. There's literally hundreds of different species there that have come together to create a force to eliminate the Illuminati. I always use the analogy that this planet is like the Iraq of the galaxy. And so all these different powers want to come and change the government, change the system, liberate human beings. But it's really no such thing, because if somebody comes uninvited, then they have their own agenda.
It means they don't have our best interest.
Correct.
What they want to achieve on the Earth?
It's the location. We have on this planet a great diversity of plant life, animal life, minerals, many resources, and it's very unusual. That usually doesn't happen in other parts of the galaxy or even universe. It's rare. And so to find a planet like this in the location in which it exists is a very tremendous find. And so people want to come here, and well, I say people, but their beings want to come here and colonize, use it, incorporate it to their own system, make it like the Eastern Bloc used to be for Soviet Union.
And why is this Iraq, in the sense that Iraq was important to invade because of the Star Gate, which you say?
In Baghdad, yes.
In Baghdad, okay.
Yeah, and you know, and one of the first things that the U.S. Army did when they got to Baghdad was go right to the museum and steal all of the artifacts that would lead to the ancient history, Sumer, that kind of thing. They had actual working batteries from thousands of years ago, which shouldn't have existed, but they existed. In fact, the curator of the Iraq Museum said that the certain elite teams of the army went down into the basement archives, and they knew which room to go and which drawers to open, and what it's like they knew someone had given them information where everything is, and then right there, like precision, to take out these artifacts, and we'll never see it again.
The alien invasion, there were information before may start around the London Olympics.
Yes.
What caused that it has been postponed?
Well, see, I don't think it was. I think it did start because if you remember, there was a film of lights flying over the Olympic site at night, and even CNN posted and said, "What are these UFOs doing on?" So even though they didn't see any aliens, it started the process globally, like, there was lights in the sky, and then later on they said, it was a corporation, had some kind of vehicles up there, they made some kind of explanation of it. But even, having the James Bond event there with Queen Elizabeth, they started the process of presenting alien information at that time.
Stewart, the question of Janus is what is the role of the modern religions and the person of Jesus?
All religion, no matter what it is mind control and programming. As far as specifically Emmanuel or Jesus Christ figure, whichever you want to call that, this is, as I mentioned earlier, about the Illuminati using it to show their descendancy from this figure so that people should worship them because they are descendants of the Christ figure. But they will have, in the new world religion, they will have a new male and female icon. Of course, they'll bring in a second cloned Christ figure, and they will use Princess Diana as the new Mary in the scenario of the New World religion. And you see even now in Vatican, they're starting to incorporate or blend in other religions to the Catholic religion. They started to make connections to Eastern Orthodox, to Russian Orthodox, even to Jewish religion. And many of the Protestant denominations are also starting to get incorporated into this umbrella of the Vatican. So we're starting to see a unification of religion in the world.
You mentioned that there would be clone of Jesus. I have a feeling, I read in your book that the blood of Jesus is stored on Mars.
Yes, well,
the underground base.
Now it's already used, that was 40 years ago. But yes, it's been cloned, and there is a staged a body, a cloned body that is of Christ. And that is why in recent years there has been all these stories of cloned sheep and cloned dogs and all these things about cloning even human beings and genetic manipulation. It's to prepare for what is being presented.
So the kind of programming, this is just programming for them.
Yes.
You mentioned about the Green Star programming in your books. It is the program which suits people to communicate with the aliens?
Yes, yes. Green Star programming is the umbrella of it. You have the staged alien invasion, you have abduction, contactee, these kind of things, Space Brothers, all these different kinds of sub-routines underneath the green star programming, and then also overlaps with the New World Religion, with end times. So the programs at some point start to overlap each other so that you could have a green star and New World Religion altar all in the same one.
And the question is if the primer idea of universal love which Jesus was presenting is a kind of programming, or he was a person who came here to give this idea?
That's a very interesting question. Yes, Emmanuel was a genetic manipulation. And his role was to take certain segments of humanity and steer them in another direction. But you may recall that there were 20 years of his life where it was missing. And there's rumors he was in Tibet, he was in Egypt, all these mystery schools, and the answer is yes, he was in these places, and I can't prove it, but I believe that he was aware of his programming, but he was also aware of the true ancient spiritual information, and so what he presented was kind of a mix between true spirituality and the programming. But also let's keep in mind, in the 1800s, I believe it was 1800s in Egypt, they uncovered the Nag Hammadi document. The Gospel of Philip, Gospel of I think Thomas, and Gospel of Mary Magdalene. And each one of them showed that there should be no intermediary between mankind and God mind. We can go directly there. That there is no need for ceremonies and ritual and religion, that it's all in your mind and in your being. And I believe those documents showed the true revelation of what the Christ figure was speaking. Not the programming version that we see in Christianity now. That's the programming version. And so this is why Vatican has kept it locked up. And I know someone who's an insider in the Vatican. And I can tell you that they have information there that would take away their own religion. But here's some, if I may talk about this, if it's okay with you. This is something, but I will tell you, this insider person told me, the highest bishops in the Vatican told this person that they don't believe in religion, that's for the people. They believe in other things, and they know other things. This is what told the assistant to the Pope.
And other things maybe?
Like they do satanic ritual. They have sexual orgies there. This person told me he saw such things that can't even talk about it because it makes him sick. The things that he saw in the Vatican. And the Vatican knows about hyperspace language, and they know about color therapy. And this person was told, because they would be a spokesperson for the Vatican at one time, that when they speak in front of an audience, that they put themselves in bright red color. Now, as you know, and from my hyperspace classes, that the bright red is anger and sexuality and hostility and aggression. So why would the Pope want the bishops and the spokespeople from the Vatican to be in this color? To intimidate the audience, to make them afraid, so that they listen to whatever they're told to do. So it's very interesting how the Vatican uses the color therapy and uses it for their own method of control and programming of the population.
Recently, even the Pope mentioned that there is a group of gay compartment within the Vatican.
Most of them are. Most of them.
Stewart, how did you come on the hyperspace language and techniques which you are teaching now?
Well, as I mentioned in Alien Connection book, I learned this mostly at Montauk Project. Of course, just as the Vatican uses it for negative things, so did government. And so one of the things I was taught to do, or one of the projects, the main project, was to go into hyperspace and get the meanings of the colors, the archetypes, etc., how to use them. Because the government got a lot of information from alien groups over the decades, but they did not trust the information because they knew the aliens would lie to them a lot about many things. And so they asked us in the Montauk Project to do the techniques to go into hyperspace and say, okay, what is the meaning of this color? What happens when you put these two together? What is the meaning of this archetype? And so on and so on. And so we had a vast dictionary of symbols, colors, what they meant. And some of that is in my Healer's Handbook.
Yes, I appreciate the book
Yeah.
so much.
I mean, of course, it would be almost impossible to put everything, because every thought is has an archetype. So, how we fill the universe with pages of information.
Was that a kind of time travel or remote viewing that you went?
This was not either one of those things. It was simply altering the frequency of the consciousness to access the highest level of God mind, so that pure thought, instant understanding and transmission, no time and space, whatever it is you look for, you find and you get the answer instantly.
Stewart, you mentioned Russian. There are pyramids built in Russia nowadays for the benefit of people. I think this is the only government which is sponsoring somehow or other building the pyramids for the people. Is that a fact?
Well, here's my explanation. I don't even want to say explanation, but my feeling about it. Russian government doesn't really do anything for, as all governments, the people are just things that they use. So my opinion is, if they are building such devices for people to use, it's part of the mind control system. They're using it in some way to enhance the mind control and programming. And I found out last year when I was in Russia that one of my great uncles, because you know about Yaakov,
yes, we know the story.
Another brother, Benjamin, actually started mind control in Soviet Union in the 1930s, and I was not aware of it before the KGB showed me this information. And so then I realized at that moment how my life was the way it was. Now it made sense to me, the connection of why I was involved in this.
We would like to finish optimistically.
Yes.
And what would be your advice
Yes.
to Polish people? How
Yes.
you would see the Polish can evolve and break the prison of the mind control?
I would like to tell the Polish people to look at their own history. So many years of invasion and control, from going back to Mongols, to Russians, to Germans, to communism. There's always something that was occupying and controlling Poland. But through all of it, for thousands of years, Polish people still exist. And they came through, and now they have their own country, and they're independent. Yes, of course, part of the global order is that all countries are. But they should look to themselves, to their own genetics, which are very powerful, very strong, and know they can survive and surpass anything. So if Polish people and all the people on the earth do their deprogramming, get rid of the victimization, do their release work, all of these things, they will develop into a powerful, independent, peaceful people forever.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We are very grateful for that, Stewart.
Thank you very much.